Welcome to Information Week. I'm Senior Editor Jean-Pierre Ruth, and today we are going to have a conversation looking at where we are with AI in terms of the relevance to CIOs, CTOs out there, looking at the real, what we can perceive in terms of the depth of its capabilities as we're looking at them now. As I've kind of noted in other sectors of technology using space, there's some talk about when there looks like at the potential of something where it might have the landscape that might seem to be vast as an ocean of possibilities, but when it comes to the real depth of what is actually useful, what is tangible, what is actionable and real for what an organization is doing, that vast ocean might actually be as shallow as a puddle. So, Jimmy, would you like to just give a quick introduction to yourself and your role with your company, so the folks know a little bit about you?
Sure thing. Yeah, thanks for having me, JP. My name's Jimmy Mesta. I'm the co-founder and CTO here at RAD Security. So we've been around for 4 or so years, building cloud and runtime security products and solutions. And we were pretty early on the AI train. So I dove deep a few years ago. It's baked into our product. It's kind of a core piece of what we deliver. So happy to talk more on that experience and where we are in the market with that.
Awesome. Great. Jimmy, thank you so much for making yourself available. So let's talk first. I mean, we've talked about how you've already got things baked in. Let's kind of take a few steps back. When you're looking at what you could introduce or what the possibility of introducing to your organization, what did you, first, what were you aware of in terms of what was being talked about in terms of possibilities? And then how did you kind of like get a barometer for yourself to say, hey, okay, that's what's being talked about. This is what's potentially going to be real for us.
Yeah. And it's a great place to start because I kind of look at it in security, at least. There's a detection capability ladder on those that you have to, live through to really understand, where historically, early in my career, 20 plus years ago, we were building static detections, right? These are things that kind of like for like pattern matching style detections, easy to bypass, prone to a lot of problems and noise. And then, things like classic machine learning introduced, correlating things through a graph. This is an evolution. And now we have, this AI sort of layer on top of things. So at least for us, as we considered where to use LLMs in kind of the AI infrastructure, it had to first solve a problem, right? I think a lot of what you see in the market today with the shallow versus deep conversation is just kind of AI washing for the sake of it. Like, you have to have it, so you just plug it in anywhere. And then, is it ready for prime time? Like, can you detect attacks and the things that matter to security teams using LLMs? And that's really where we're at today. I do believe we're in a place where LLMs themselves have taken a lot of the load off of security teams, but it's not a one size fits all. You have to understand where to plug it in and what it's good at and what it's not. So we've been very kind of pragmatic with that approach in our product, and it's working out really well.
With that pragmatic approach, how do you address what may or may not be like outside pressures or perceptions of the idea that everything has to have AI in it? There's some folks that I know personally who've said that they've been in situations where AI didn't make specific sense for what their teams were working on in their particular IT space, but there might have been a customer or client, a business customer, who was just very energetically wanting to see and know that AI was baked into everything, even when it wasn't even necessary. And somebody's like kind of like pulling them aside and be like, just tell them it's got AI in it.
Yeah.
How do you kind of like deal with that kind of certain kind of perception that folks seem to want to have versus the reality of the, why you take that pragmatic approach.
Not easy. Yes, I've never lived through a technology shift quite like this, where it's a day by day sort of space to watch, and there's a lot of a lot of FOMO and fear of missing out, and new tools and new models. But at the end of the day, at least for us, we're building security solutions, so they have to work. So there's plenty of other platforms and companies out there that just want to keep talking about AI as much as possible. But for us, the proof is in, can we detect faster, more accurately, with more context than we could before AI. So we run a deep bench of those tests, and then we aren't afraid to go through the ringer with the POC to make sure we have the detections in play, and we're always kind of iterating on what we have available and what's coming from the market.
So it sounds like with your approach that you're more looking at you're assessing things in terms of like the functionality you need, as opposed to having some kind of roadmap that says some kind of projection of, we need to have this much AI involved in our organization because.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think because AI is a good reason. We found that it works, and when you wield it appropriately, you can have outsized results. And yeah, it's worth investing in, but it's not worth going shallow just so you have more things to market, because that doesn't work in security anymore. So
can you give me some kind of sense of how long it takes to kind of like really feel confident that whatever iteration, whatever AI resource that you've put into play is functioning and delivering on what you're looking for? Is a matter of like, hey, it worked for 10 minutes, it's awesome, or we need to make sure it works for like 10 days? How do you go about really kind of like doing that assessment and make sure like, all right, kick the tires, things are working fine, let's move on to the next thing? That
is tough. Because the ecosystem moves so fast. So, your prompts matter a lot, right? And back-end prompts used for detection are really important. So we have experts, humans, using AI to help make sure our prompt structure is the best it can be for the task at hand. We choose the best models for the task at hand, and we also test those models as they come out. You don't want to get too far behind. And then we have guardrails, right? So everything we do in the product also includes evidence and citations. So this is one thing that's missing in a lot of places, where you ask a question and it's like, here's the definitive answer. Well, I need a little more than that. We know that LLMs tend to be agreeable, and you don't want that in cybersecurity. So we always tend to lean towards sharing more information than less on how we came to a certain result. So the development of these tools and kind of the back end of all of this, it's a different engineering style than I'm used to in the past, and a lot of the team was used to. And we've had to really adapt to kind of using some of these different frameworks for building these ecosystems that just didn't exist even 6 months ago sometimes. So it's all about moving fast and keeping your guardrails in place.
Gotcha. So how is AI really actively being used? Just not specifically, giving away the secret sauce for how your team is specifically using to defend, but like in a broader cybersecurity sense, how is it being really used in tangible ways? I've made kind of joking references that AI is being set up to kind of like be the defensive kaiju in cybersecurity versus the offensive kaiju that hackers are, digital kaiju that hackers are sending out. Hopefully it's not something as silly as that. What are some things that AI is being used for?
So we used to joke a year and a half ago that, you know, the models we were using were pretty similar to like hiring an, you know, overly ambitious intern, right? And you still have to double check the work, but capable of doing a whole lot and learning. I think it's going up the stack a bit, you know, up in rank when we use certain LLMs when combined with other technology like, you know, vector databases and RAG for more context. So we use LLMs and kind of the entire AI stack for the vast majority of our products. So if you look at threat detection, there's a few ways you can do threat detection. You can have sort of the static like for like, here's a rule, here's a finding. You can have you know, more of a behavioral graph approach. You can have classic ML, but we've decided that you know, given the increase you know, of LLM capability, we're going to be an AI native detection engine, which has proven to be a really good choice, you know, 2 years ago, because it's so good at finding the needle in the haystack, and it has more context than you could ever build into your classic ML model or a static rule set. And it's able to reason. So we use it for detection. We also have autonomous agents that string together different workflows with AI capabilities to get really otherwise you know, tedious tasks done. So, you know, a lot of security, and we're having this conversation today right before this call, is generate a report every week or sift through this giant CSV file, take some pieces out and put it over here, and then, you know, create a ticket. There's a lot of workflow things that we're finding that, you know, when combined with better detection of it with AI and then building those workflows with AI, you can almost hire you know, a team of agents that, you know, are out doing that 24/7, freeing you up to do harder, more deeper work. So our platform is all about that. You know, again, we do it thoughtfully. We're not trying to just sprinkle AI pixie dust on everything, but it's a need. You know, when people see it, they have these problems. They don't have headcount necessarily to hire somebody to go do these things, and they see a direct line to solve a lot of headaches, and AI is good at that, especially in cybersecurity.
Well, Jimmy, you've been fantastic, and I hope that more folks are looking less at AI pixie dust and at more pragmatic ideas when it comes to when they're looking at that vast ocean and the far horizon, hopefully looking at more near-term realistic things. So again, Jimmy, I appreciate your thoughts and your expertise and your direct input on how you and your organization are actively looking at AI. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, JP.